What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well today, and welcome to Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 6, a hell of a tongue twister. And I've been fortunate enough to be reached out to by the guys at MESX6 and got some early access gameplay in here. Now it's worth mentioning before you see anything in this video or I mention anything that there is a few known issues on this current build, and this is not the final build of the game either. There is going to be like upgrades and finishing touches and even additional game modes added before the day one of the game actually releases. And I'm going to go through a bunch of slides that they've sent me here, which was like a guide essentially on what to expect from the game, and in the background you'll see a bunch of different gameplay from my end, a little bit of time trial where it was actually, I think it's just me and Wyndham that are on the leaderboards, funnily enough. There's some custom track stuff in there and just kind of exploring different areas of the game. So some of the things to mention in this gameplay that won't be relevant at all on day one that will be changing is the AI difficulty. The difficulty will be improved a little bit, and apparently there's a few tracks that there's a few like random crashes and unoptimized speeds and so on and so forth. So that's all going to be touched on before the game releases. In the current build, I don't think I've touched on it just yet, but throughout the, let's call it career mode, you actually have Jeremy McGrath as like your mentor, so to speak, helping you, and that is going to be upgraded with a 3D character, like a higher detail character in all the cutscenes, and that's all going to be upgraded too. Shadows on Supercross Park might pop in and out here and there, and that's going to be upgraded. Same with the lighting, or like the lights and stuff in the stadiums, they're not all finalised just yet. And then the actual difficulty in the training sessions is just going to be tuned a little bit more. Some levels are a little bit too easy, some are a little bit too hard, so that's going to be changed. And then finally, the riding aids and difficulty levels is also going to just affect how the AI plays as well. So if you, let's say, make the game a lot harder for yourself, the AI might be slightly easier, and so on and so forth. It will scale depending on your difficulty. Extra features that you won't see in this gameplay at all because they don't exist in the beta build that I'm playing, but will be added for day one. First of all is straight rhythm, something that I'm actually really excited for. I do like me some straight rhythm racing, and there's a little bit of a further breakdown on what exactly that will consist of, which I'll get to later on, but it does look very, very promising, and I'm very excited for that. There is going to be crossplay. Unfortunately, it's only on the console side, so all the Xboxes and all the PlayStations, they can play against each other. However, us PC players, if you're watching this and you're a PC player like myself, we are kind of stuck to ourselves, unfortunately. So maybe in the future we'll get something like that, maybe next year's game. I was a little bit sad to see that, but you know what, it is what it is. It's nice that they're doing at least some sort of cross-console gaming in there. They have custom championships. I'm not going to touch on too much. It looks like you just go and create your own stuff and add whatever tracks you want to. On qualifying, they're going to add some qualification mode rather than just hopping into races over and over and over again, and then a bunch of different like director stuff, and there'll be some online ranking as well, so you get some proper leaderboards, which would be quite nice to see, whether it's in the form of maybe MMR or whoever has the most wins and so on. I'm not too sure, but I'd be very excited to see what that brings. So just mentioning some of the key features here as well is there's going to be 8 different game modes in total, which is nice that they're expanding a little bit and we get a bit more variety in there. And we've got Jeremy McGrath, as I mentioned earlier. He's going to be our personal coach, so going through all of the future stuff through basically through the entire career, I believe. Jeremy McGrath is going to be training us and coaching us. That'd be quite cool, getting actually someone on the inside, getting him in game. He's all scanned in, and have him kind of work your way through it, which from like a hardcore motocross fan point of view is just kind of cool. And then I imagine as a casual it's quite helpful to get all of that inside information as well. It mentions here improved gameplay such as revised AI, new physics, and refined rider shape system. Now when I have been playing this game, I've really not noticed too much of a difference from 5 to 6. It can still be, well, it is an arcade game, but it can be very arcadey at times. It's not terrible by any means. I do find some weird and wonderful things happening here and there, but I do also put that down to me playing a beta version. But in terms of like massive upgrades on the physics side of things, I haven't noticed it too much. I feel like you carry a little bit more speed now through rhythms and a little bit more flow. However, in corners, I'm really struggling to get the bike turned, especially on long sweepers like you get on Anaheim 1 before the second set of whoops. The bike just wants to kind of push further and further out rather than gripping in and turning. Kind of similar to how Legends was on like release day. Very hard to feel the front end planted in the corners unless you're going very slowly. And then as usual, you've got like your skill trees and your bike setups throughout the career mode as well, so you can change it as and how you desire. I personally never bother messing with bike setups in these games. I keep everything stock. Just find it's easier just to hop on and play the game as is. But if you are one of them people that takes your bike setup really seriously, you have the freedom to do so. One thing that I actually quite like, which I'll be honest, I'm not sure how much it's changed from 5 to 6 because I really didn't dabble in it on 5, is the racer customization. You can make yourself look very, very interesting. You can have a variety of like skin tones, of course, but then your hair color and your beard color, you can go as weird and wacky as you want. You can have pink hair with a green beard, you can have an orange beard with purple hair. You go off, you do whatever you want to do, and that's quite nice. So you can make it a little bit sillier if you'd like to, which I quite enjoy. I feel like any game that has some facial customization, I always kind of try and push it to the limit and make my guy look as goofy as possible. So covering the 8 game modes that we mentioned earlier, they've got an updated career mode where players will climb the ladder from beginner to pro in the most realistic and interactive career mode of the franchise. You have got championships, whether you can play alone or with a friend on split screen. You have got time attacks, and you've got single event, you know, the good old tried and tested ones right there. And then hopping over to the next one, we have got rhythm attack, which is all the straight rhythm stuff, which will be available on day 1, which is quite nice. And I believe it's almost going to be like a knockout style, so it's going to be 2 people on the track at a time. You kind of whittle it down until you get to the final, so a proper straight rhythm like series, which is cool. We've got the Supercross Park, which is a massive free ride area with a few different Supercross tracks in there, and you've got the Supercross Academy where you can learn all of like the tutorials and stuff, and maybe like how to scrub properly, how to corner properly, so on and so forth. And then finally you've got split screen as well. If you are more of a casual player, maybe you play with a sibling or you play with your dad or something like that. Really, really nice. A further breakdown of the straight rhythm here, it's obviously 2 people at a time. You stay in your lane, and there's no turns, of course. Straight rhythm, it's all about staying as low as possible, hitting the rhythms as clean as you can, and then if you win, you move on to the next round, and then so on and so forth until you become the champion. Now this is a cool little map overview here of the Supercross Park, which I don't think we have in game, so it's quite nice seeing this on this screen. It's a big old free ride area. There's some very unique sections, which is quite nice. I found the free ride areas on these games in the past, they've kind of left a lot of space untouched, which has always been one of my biggest queries. But for the most part, around this entire place, there is always something to look at or something to do. There's a massive, I guess I'll call it a nationals track that goes around the entire place, and then 3 different Supercross tracks dotted all around, and there's different environments and areas, like one's in a stadium, one's in a quarry, one's in an airport, and I like this. I would say that this is probably my favourite free ride area out of the games that I've played, being 2, 4 and 5, so really enjoyable stuff there. If you are one of them career mode players rather than multiplayer, a little breakdown of the career mode system as such. So you start off in futures as always, and you find like original sponsors and kind of gives you a glimpse of what the racing is going to be like. From that point you move up to rookies, where you'll get missions and you can kind of do a bunch of different training and stuff in the Supercross Park and level up your rider. And then finally you go all the way through to the pro and try and get your 450 championship and be your Eli Tomacs. Once you've completed your first race in career mode, you get access to it's a career version of the Supercross Park where you can do different events and stuff depending on where you ride to. So you can see on the screenshots here that the green whistle that you can see is to do some of like McGrath's trainings and tutorials. The purple one is the Supercross Academy. The green one on the right hand side is like challenges to improve your skills and I guess to upgrade your rider a little bit more, and then the red one on the far right, the little lightning bolt, is to improve your rider's conditioning, which I quite like. That it takes injuries and it takes morale and mentality into account this year as well, and it all affects how your rider performs. So same as last year's, when it comes to upgrading your rider, you've got a skill tree, so you can kind of put points where you desire at a certain time. So if you're maybe struggling under braking into the corners, you can upgrade your brakes first. If you want to stay lower in over jumps, I'm sure there's one for that as well. And just like that little bit of customization that they've got in there, so it's not just a linear story. You can upgrade yourself as and where you desire in certain areas. There's a good amount of customization in terms of bikes too. There's a lot of graphic kits available this year, a hell of a lot of different parts and colours, and You can find all sorts of weird and wonderful variations on there. I've certainly spent a good half an hour or so at some point going through and just making my bike look nice to me, like a little bit personal, which I do enjoy. And then in terms of customization too, we've got the helmet editor, again, along with a different sticker editor as well, which I've not touched on too much. I did briefly try the helmet editor on Monster Energy Supercross 5, however, I'm not skillful enough to do things like that. People make some really cool creations. I've seen a bunch of Red Bull helmets and things like that. I am one of them people that goes and downloads others' work rather than making it all myself. So shout out to all of you artistic bunch that are pretty good at dealing with the helmet editor. I myself could never. And that kind of covers everything in terms of the notes. I'm going to just make a quick transition. I'm going to record almost like a normal video here of me just riding around and playing the game that I'm going to commentate over to, and just show off some various different tracks and different bikes and so on and so forth. And because I'm not sure how much of it I've covered in the background whilst talking through all this, I'm kind of reading through some slides I've been sent. So this dev build that I've got right now, I only have access to until the 5th of February. So I've all recorded this like a few days before you're seeing it. I think it goes up on about the 9th of February, which is when the ban on any gameplay going up is lifted. The actual game itself comes out on, I think it was the 9th of March. I could be mistaken there. It's no 9th of March. I've just double checked. And obviously on all of the usual platforms: PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Steam, so on and so forth. So yeah, really good stuff, and I hope you enjoy the rest of my video with me actually sitting down and playing the game and getting some live reactions too. Rightio, let's do some actual gameplay then. So as you can see in the top right of my screen, I am level 86 already. And I just wanted to say, before I go anywhere, the reason for this is if I go over to the track editor and I go over to my tracks, have they removed it? No, here it is. Is this whole easy XP / credit stuff still works? You can just make a circle track and just keep going over and over and just do it really easily. So that exists. I'm sure they'll hate me for showing you that, but if you want to give it a go, it's there. It's fine. It exists. So I'm going to go through a few things here. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to go through the whole Supercross park just to experience it, I guess. Do I do it through here? Let me have a quick look. Okay, so I am a massive idiot. I've only just realised I've been recording in the wrong resolution. So here we go. This is Supercross Park. First of all, it looks very pretty, which is always a plus. If I load up the map right here, you can kind of roughly see everything that's dotted about. Can I use my cursor? Oh, you can see that, right. So we have got a few Supercross tracks dotted around. We've got one in the quarry. We've got one in the rookie arena. We've got one over here, which is near the airport, I believe. And then we've got a few nationals tracks dotted around here, there, and everywhere. I'm not sure what this one is. I don't think I've ridden this one at all yet, although it's just to my right. So maybe this is like the practice area. We've got what is meant to be like a pits area around here as well, to my left, which I think looks really cool. Like nice and interesting. It's nice having an area that's actually populated for a change rather than it all just being really empty. So I actually really enjoy this, like love to see it. And apparently this is going to be like the main area if you're playing online as well, which will be cool to see. So I'm just going to spin a little bit of laps here and there, and already off the bat, I'm not sure if you could see that on the floor, I can see like a little bit of a lighting bug, which I mentioned very early on before I started any gameplay stuff that was going to be fixed before day one. So it's nice that they know there's things to be fixed. I think this whole dev build that I'm playing on right now was really for just like early reactions, and you can see in terms of customization and stuff, I've got some I actually quite like. I'm not sure, I doubt anybody else shares this opinion, but on my back, like, I've got my number really tiny at the top right, and then I've got my name just fitting in this tiny bit of the kit, which I personally like. I mean, I think it looks quite cool. People might disagree with that, but it is what it is. I think it's absolutely a-okay. Now, if I want to be a little bit critical, because I've played this game for about 4 hours now up to this point, is one of the biggest gripes, or two biggest gripes I'll say. One is scrubbing. I'm not a fan of how scrubbing works in this game whatsoever. I feel like this is if I lean both sticks to the right, obviously it just flicks it across and then it stays there and you've got to try and flick it back around. And then the second thing is the cornering. Now, most of the time it's not too bad when you've got a nice berm to hold you, which as you do in most places on Supercross. However, if you're trying to turn on flat ground at all, the bike just seems to push itself really far, which I don't know how I feel about it, because that was one of my massive issues with Legends, when Legends came out. I think the jumping this year is much nicer. It seems like I can get over all the jumps a lot easier than I could in previous years. Where does this take me? Also a bit of a weird and wonderful direction. But I think this park, the Supercross park, is probably their best freeride area they've done so far. It's very, very immersive. There's not a whole bunch of like wasted space, as I've seen in the past, so a whole lot of different places to explore and go through. However, I'm not going to do all of that for you today, because I would like to save a thing or two for some content when the game comes out as well, because I do think I probably will go ahead and get the game and show it all off to you guys, and you guys can then all make your decisions from there on what you think. I mean, look, it looks so nice. Like, look at this. I mean, we've got the quarry area over there where I'm guessing there's a Supercross track. Oh, okay, just absolutely impaled myself. Let me double check. I know I saw on the map they said there was a quarry over here. And I'm guessing there's a bunch of collectibles to find around in this area too, that I just haven't kind of bothered or got access to just yet. They might not even exist in this beta build that I'm playing on. I mean, this is quite cool. This gives me like Modern Warfare 2 throwbacks of the map on there. I think it might have even just been called Quarry on there. But nice, really cool settings, and I like that there's a few different environments to work with. And it's not just like one massive area like it has been before, where everything looks like very samey. There's a bunch of free ride jumps dotted around. Like there's a massive booter over there, over on the right hand side of my screen, and it just looks really cool. I think I'm going to go into the time attack mode now, just so you can kind of see me going for actual laps on real tracks. And I'm going to do it on Anaheim 1, so you get an idea of what I mean about the whole turning with the front end. So if we go along to our time attack, let's go 450s, and let me be an actual rider rather than myself. Let's go to official presets. No, I've not unlocked any of that yet. Should we be Tomac's slightly easier. Let's just be old Coopy. Let's be Cooper Webb. There's actually quite a few people playing on here now, and oh, Kim's in has got the game. Okay, so I was ahead. Before it was just me and Nightmare, and this is Wyndham. So I was doing quite well, but now Kimazin is way above me. Let me see if I can challenge the ghost and see how much he dookies on me by this. I don't know how guys, when they play this game, the guys that are really good, they can kind of scrub the corners and wait the outside peg, and it just flings their bike around and they get going again. I myself cannot do that. I'm very cheeks, but I'll get to show you a little bit more on the gameplay side of things, and we'll go from there. So we'll go triple over. Now, one of the actual other things that I was unsure about, which I think is a shared opinion with other people I've spoken to in Discord, is... Oh, just completely robbed myself. That's not very good. I hate how the game is always from the previous year, because who wants to play the previous year? You know, we want to play the current year, and I don't know how long it takes to get all like the correct licensing and the riders on the teams and stuff, or how long each game is in development for, but I would love to play the current year's game, and I'm not sure if that is anything that could be possible for the future, but I would really like it. Now, as you can see, going through these rhythm sections seems to be a lot more fluent than it has done in the past. However, this corner right here, I cannot for the life of me get the bike turn. I'm just ice skating the entire way around it. I doubt it's a setup only thing. You know, it seems to happen on the majority of the flatter corners. Is the bike never feels planted enough. So if there were to be any changes made before the release, that would 100% be one of them. I do think the in-air feels a lot better than it has done in the past. I would like the whips and scrubs to be worked on a bit too. And then of course we've got the same old thing of when we go through whoops. It's just a case of getting off the back, and if your front wheel's not touching them, you're pretty much going pretty fast, if I'm honest. And I mean, other than that, the actual gameplay stuff, it doesn't upset me in any way. I mean, look how fast Buddy Kimson's going through there with his old 50. Oh god, 51 is Barsha. Oh god, I'm going to embarrass myself. It's over Barsha or Moseman. I think it's Barsha. Regardless, he's absolutely barking. I have no idea how he does it. There's one thing I do have a bit of a gripe about, which I'm not happy with, which I think they've done intentionally because they know the flat tracking physics are bad, is on the inside of every single one of these bowl corners is an absolutely massive rut, which I don't get, because not very realistic. I mean, look how big this berm is, by the way, going into this whoop section. Like, this is insanely tall. And I just feel like the 180 bowl turns, they feel good. The 90s leave a little bit to be desired in terms of their actual curvature. I'm not sure about that. And then, yeah, the ruts on the inside of all these berms, I don't get it. It's weird. I mean, it stops you from cutting down in the bowl corners. You literally go inside or you go outside, which in my mind is not the ideal way of doing Supercross. But outside of that, once you do get a little bit of a flow going, I quite enjoy it. I can't lie. I mean, I started playing MESX 5 again recently, and I found myself. This is all multiplayer that I was doing, bear in mind. But I was really enjoying myself. I find multiplayer on these games for me is the most fun part. It's the story that I find a little bit on the lackluster side. I mean, I should probably touch on the story mode a little bit, shouldn't I, with the whole McGrath thing. I've not even touched it in my 4 hours. I've just been grinding away on the one track that I made, trying to get a whole bunch of XP and credits, just then to realise that it will all get erased when the actual game comes out. So I've wasted like 3 hours of my life doing that. But I can just do it again when the actual game comes out, because I like grinding the levels on these games to get the unlockables that I can then show off to you guys, like the gold bikes, and they actually have some new stuff this year for unlockables, and there's like holographic skins, there's like some neon-y stuff, different to last year's neon stuff, which I quite like as well, which actually I think I could show you off now and just show you what it looks like. Alright, coming over to my rider here and its whole preset thing. So if I go into the rider skins and I go down to suits, I need to go across to milestone. There it is, milestone. So this is the one that I've unlocked so far. I think the leveling system, I don't know if it's going to change by release, but it seems like a hell of a grind to unlock things. I do like the various skins that you get through here. This stuff is wild. Like, it's nice. Animated skins I think are quite cool. I'd like to see some more of it. And then it's this diamond stuff. The way it shines and glows, I think it looks really, really nice. I do prefer it on bikes, which I'll show you in a second. I think the bike graphics look amazing. A lot of stuff's quite samey, like the gold and the silver. I believe this Blizzard one might be new. And then there was one more, the Vaporwave Pro. The Vaporwave stuff looks really nice. The Pro on the bike looks really, really sexy. Let me go and show you that. If I go across to livery and then back across to milestone again. So again, we got a Cosmos one, which is like an animated skin, which I quite like. I think it looks pretty nice. Keep going down. We've got Diamond, which is, I'm not sure how well you'll make it out on YouTube, but it's got a holographic effect on the logos, where it's got that little like oil slick rainbowy kind of look, which I also really, really like. Standard stuff like the fire and the gold, Blizzard. The Vaporwave Pro, however, this looks really, really nice in my opinion. Just, I love the whole oil slick vibe. I know it's probably overkill to some people, but me personally, massive, massive fan of that. Like, really, really nice. I do enjoy it. Brake disc, a little bit odd. I've only just noticed that. Very, very odd actually on the rear down there. But nonetheless, I think this is probably my favourite skin in the entire game, which you get by completing all of these Supercross Academy lessons. So a little bit of an incentive there to kind of learn the game and see how it all goes. But there's a hell of a lot of, there's so many graphics for you to choose from, all different brands. You can see how many different options there are under each brand as well. I mean, Backyard always makes really, really nice stuff. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I mean, I'm happy with how my bike looks right now on my gear. I'm just going to show you like a little bit on the track editing side of things too. Before I do that, something that I'm not going to get into that you can see here is the sticker editor and the helmet editor. You can just make your own stuff and slap it on. The only thing I'm worried about is seeing a lot of, let's just say, a lot of genitalia on people's bikes. I don't know if this will translate across online, if you'll see what stickers people make. But that's my only concern on there. It gives me like Call of Duty Black Ops vibes when people could make their own emblems. And as you can see here, you can make your person look very, very wild and interesting. You can have all of different colours of hair and stuff that you want. I mean, same with the beard. You can like different beard styles. You can make it look all sorts of weird and wonderful and change the beard colour. You can be as realistic or as unique as you'd like to be, which I quite like. I like when you can be a little bit silly on these games. I think it makes it a hell of a lot more interesting. The track editor for the most part is pretty much the same as usual. I have made just a circle track right here, which is the Easy XP one. However, one thing that is new, if I go to create new track and just spam my keyboard, cool, is as you go through all this, you can see at the top, so firstly at the bottom, sorry, you can change your stadium to whatever you want, which is basically, it is what it is. Then at the top, you can also change your soil type, which is quite nice. And I haven't experimented enough yet on if it is purely an aesthetic thing or if the traction changes, but I just like that extra layer of customization. Now, I'm not going to make a track for you in this video. That would be making it way, way, way too long. But I will show you quickly my circle track. I'll do a lap or two of it. I think it just makes sense. Currently, my track is the only one, and it's got 12 downloads because that's how many times I've played it. It counts like every single one. I do not want to do a triple crown event. Let's change that to standard. Thank you very much. And then the whole point behind this really is you just keep going in circles for as long as you want and getting as much XP and credits as you can. I've done exactly the same thing on MESX5. I believe you get more XP and credits based on the difficulty of the AI, but you can see at the top, every time I complete a lap, you get X amount of XP. You can get more XP for doing a clean lap, you get more XP for doing a fast lap. So I really do think it's the most effective way of going about things. So you're welcome for getting this on exploit on day one, although I'm pretty sure most people know about it by now. I mean, it's been in the game for God knows how long. It's been in every single year's one. I'm not sure if it's ever something that they'll patch, but regardless, if you are a grinder like me and you just want to unlock everything in the game as quick as you can, then I think this is probably the way forwards. Going into the Supercross Academy right here, you basically, I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's all different tutorials on how to turn, how to brake, so on and so forth. And you do get like unlocks like gear and bike skins and so on and so forth for completing these. I'm not going to go for any of them in this video today for you, but you get an idea. You know, you've got to complete all of the introductory ones, then go on to the advanced lessons, and then keep going on. I have no idea what this theory is about. Watch the video to learn about the events. So this is a little bit like Supercross lore, I guess, where it kind of makes sense on the real world perspective, but this is actual in-game stuff. So the introductory and the advanced is all in-game, all for you to learn if you're a complete newbie, or maybe you're just someone like myself that doesn't know the fastest way around the track and doesn't have hours and hours and hours to burn away at it. Now, I'm not going to start a new career mode right here or do any races. I'm just curious to see how it all starts. So we got the king of Supercross right here talking to me in the background, and I'm talking over him being very, very rude. Just going to skip that. So as you can see, we start off on Futures, which is just 3 races, and I'm guessing you just use all your privateer stuff. Once you've completed Futures, you then move on to Rookie, and you've got all sorts in here, by the way. You've got injury stuff. You even got morale that comes into play. So if you've had a bad race, your morale will be low. So what you can then do is go on and do some more training to make yourself feel better, essentially, and more happy, which will then affect your rider's performance in the races. So your rider will perform better as well. It's not just you keep doing worse and worse and worse until you can barely go around the track. And just skimming through here as well, so we've got the Supercross Academy again at the bottom to go and kind of do all the tutorials and such. Moving over to the rider, you can customize him from inside this menu as well, which is nice. You've not keep going back to the main menu every time. This is a skill tree that was on about, where you can kind of allocate your points wherever you want. I'm guessing you get one after each race, so you can put it into cornering, different bike control variations, braking, scrubbing, like physical resistance, make yourself less prone of, well, less likely to get an injury. And then over in career management as well, I'm sure you'll get a rival once you go up into the pro ranks at some point. You can see the championship standings, and then journal is kind of the same as last year, where you get challenges based on what you've done, like if you get whole shots, perfect starts, like how many jumps you've hit, how many times you've done good whips, so on and so forth. Yeah, just keep track of everything really. And I feel like that kind of touches on every aspect of it so far. As I'm not going to kind of go through every single minute thing and show you every single example, but you get a brief overview of everything that's included. I don't see any like leaderboard stuff here just yet, so I'm wondering if that is something that's going to be added on day one as well. It's just not up and running just yet. I mean, if I create a public lobby, you can create all different race types, like length. You can make it. You can do triple crowns if you want to. Choose the class and all that good stuff. So I think it's all much the same as last year, but still nonetheless it's really good. There's some good improvements on this game, I will give them that. Visually it looks nice. The Supercross Park I think is the best one that we have ever had, so there's some pluses from there. Few gripes in terms of physics. I don't feel like a whole lot has changed in terms of the actual gameplay, but from a casual player of this game, I really don't mind it. It's nice, it's refreshing to mix it up from the usual MX Simulator or MX bikes that I mess around with now and then. And overall, I think they've done a pretty good job. And for this just being a beta build where nothing is like fully finalised and polished, I still think it's good. I can't wait for day one to see how it all goes, and I'll properly go into the online aspect and see what I can do and see what content I can make on it for you guys really. If there is anything in particular that you would like me to do once the game does fully release, then let me know. I'll be happy to oblige, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. As always, if I could ask you to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, I would greatly appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.